Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Feeding the Curious Mind. My name is John Pullen, and I'm an author of fiction and non-fiction books. This one is a little bit strange because what it tells us is that Great Britain helped the most notorious criminal, gangster in America in the 1920s, 1930s, called Al Capone. And it turned out that Britain did help him in his criminal empire. So how did all this come about? Well, Al Capone was the biggest gangster around in that time. And his criminal empire stretched through protection rackets, prostitution, and prohibition. Now, prohibition happened in America in 1920 and lasted till 1933. And what it meant was that the selling and drinking of alcohol was banned. Well, you can imagine that's probably going to be fairly unpopular. And when the people were looking for alcohol and they couldn't find it from legal places, they went to illegal means of getting it. And of course, the crime syndicates, organized crime syndicates of the time, were more than happy to find ways to get around the law. Now, the law did allow purchases of alcohol to be made by Americans as long as it wasn't on American soil, it was on foreign soil. And one of the biggest or most popular drinks that was asked for was whiskey. And of course, Scotland in particular is famous worldwide for its whiskey, just like Ireland. So what happened was that people were sent to big wine and drinks importers in Britain. The Capone one, as far as we know, went to London, and the agent he sent was a chap called Jack Legs Diamond. I don't know why they all seem to have middle nicknames. We'll assume this chap had legs. Anyway, he went to St. James's, which is in central London, very close to Buckingham Palace and St. James's Palace. And there is a very famous wine importer, etc., called Berry Brothers and Rudd. The shop's still there. The importers are still there. It hasn't really even changed over the years. It's well worth a visit if you're in London. In fact, although it is slightly off what we're talking about, it's rumoured that because they've been around since the 1600s, that some kings of Britain in the past had a secret tunnel built between Berry Brothers and St. James's Palace so that they could order their drinks and it would be delivered quietly and secretly. But that's one of the legends and another story. So anyway, old Jack Legs Diamond bought a huge amount of whiskey, and other agents were going to other importers and doing the same thing, it should be said. Now, okay, he was allowed to buy it in London, and they couldn't import it, though, into the United States. So the cargo of whiskey was then sent to the West Indies, to a British colony. For example, it would have been the Bahamas, was one of the favourites. So the ship would go there and would offload its cargo of whiskey into the Bahamas. At that point then it would be picked up again by another ship, which would sail then off the coast of probably New Jersey. And then smaller boats would come out and they would then offload into those smaller boats the cargo of whiskey. Those smaller boats then would then go secretly into coves and other places on the New Jersey coast, where lorries would meet them, put the whiskey into the lorries, and then they would drive off to wherever they were going to be sold. That was the sort of procedure they used, and it went on for the 13 odd years of Prohibition. America was quite aware of what was happening, and they made sort of protests to the British government. British government thought, well, Prohibition's not going to last very long, therefore let's ignore it. Well, it lasted 13 years, as we said. To give you an idea, though, the Bahamas, before Prohibition, would order round about 944 gallons of whiskey per year for the island. At the height of Prohibition, it's believed that the figure had gone up to 386,000 gallons of whiskey. So either the inhabitants of the Bahamas suddenly all became alcoholics, or else the syndicates of America, the gangsters, were getting their illegal whiskey into the country.